For many years, Caucasians have led in percentages in enrollment in colleges, lawyers, and doctors. African Americans only make up 5% of the lawyer population and 4% of the doctor population. Obviously, you need to go to school to get to those top-paying jobs, and clearly, Black people are underrepresented in those professions. Why? Is it their school, or is it just being Black? Is there a gene that says Black people can't succeed like white people? In this video, we will see what people like Mr. Price and Mrs. Adaidu think about this issue. We will also compare two high schools, Paul Robeson and St. Ignatius, to see if, in fact, race does affect the achievement gap. Before we dive into our question, we must give you some background information to help you get to know the idea of race a little bit better. First, we must go back to the very beginning in Eastern Africa, where a woman named Mitochondrial Eve walked the earth 150,000 to 200,000 years ago. Back then, there was only one skin color, but they changed over time depending on geography. In certain areas like Russia, the people there needed to take in as much vitamin D as they could, which is why they have less melanin in their skin. Melanin is a dark brown to black pigment found in hair, skin, and areas of the eye in people. But in certain places in the world where sunlight is much more intense, such as Africa, people don't need to absorb as much sunlight. In 1779, people were first put into racial groups by a German scientist named Johann Friedrich Blumenbach, who classified them into 5 groups: Caucasian, Malaysian, Mongolian, Negroid, and American. Those 5 groups are known as the traditional racial classifications or the historical definition of race. Blumenbach argued that physical characteristics like skin color, skull shape, etc. were dependent of the person's geography, nutrition, and custom. Those racial groupings are still used today. You might be wondering, well, if we all came from one person, then why are people of different skin tones treated differently? In America, race started through slavery. The United States were one of the first people to have slavery based on race, and that already creates a big power difference between the two races. Over time, it has built to what it has become today. Another thing to know about race is that race is not biological. It is a social construct. We know this because for many years, scientists have been trying to find something common that all African Americans have that other races don't, but they can't. After learning a little bit about race, let's get to our main idea. Paul Robeson is a neighborhood high school located in Englewood, a neighborhood most known for its gang violence. It is rated a level 3 high school, which is the lowest level when it comes to academic achievement. There are 221 students in the whole school, and 100% of them racially classify themselves as African American. Many people believe that the reason why Paul Robeson is a level 3 high school is because they are all African American and are not capable of doing the work that other students can accomplish. Here are some things that you should know about Paul Robeson. Their average ACT score is 13.9, college readiness is about 5%, the gap between actual and expected performance is -19. College enrollment is less than 50%, and the suspension rate is at 45.2%. St. Ignatius is a private high school located in the near west side of Chicago, a relatively wealthy neighborhood. There are 1,400 students in the school, and 77% of the students identify as Caucasian, 12% identify themselves as African American, 10% identify themselves as Hispanic. Here are some things you should know about St. Ignatius. Their average ACT score is 28. College readiness is about 92%. The gap between actual and expected performance is plus 15. College enrollment is 99%, and the suspension rate is at 2%. Clearly, there is a huge difference between the two schools when it comes to academic achievement. Let's interview some people to see what they think about this achievement gap and whether it has to do with race or if it just has to do with the environment the school is located in.
Well, mainly has to do with the environment Caucasian students are put in and the environment African American students are put in.
It's very expected and very normal to go through school and do well, while sometimes a lot of students, even if you are a sharp student, you're working uphill because some of your peers are not trying to do it. And then lastly, I would say that, what was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, and then also, not always the case, but it's more likely with a white student to get tutoring and other types of preparation that black students cannot afford, or it's not as much of an in vogue thing to do.
I mean, if you have some beautiful tech lab and another school can't have that, of course there are going to be differences in your ability to get experiences with those things and also be able to apply your knowledge of them in other contexts. So yeah, I think race is just like the thing that weaves itself through neighborhood and through class and through so many things. So yeah, but again, it's not about capability, it's just about access.
Yeah, I think money has something to do with it. Like I said, the test prep thing for sure. The type of schools you can send your kids to, whether it be private or a public school, because public school is based on how like the socioeconomic status of the area. So, you know, if you're in an area where there's not a lot of people with money, that means that more than likely the public school system's not going to be that good. And then I also think that from a standpoint of yeah, I'd say those things for sure, but money is a factor.
I think a lot of the achievement gap has to do with the cycle of poverty, and obviously with the segregation in Chicago, that's a big thing. So like, there's definitely certain people going to certain schools because of where they live and their financial situation.
It's a systematic thing. It's very tough. Like you could say theoretically, just try and invest more in the communities that are heavily minority. And provide them with better resources, better teachers, better curriculum and all that stuff. But it's hard to do because you have to not only get more money to be sent there, you have to attract better teachers, and there's a lot of factors. Like some people don't want to go into a dangerous neighborhood. Some people don't want to work with all the different things that stop students from achieving at their best. Sometimes parents, if they haven't gone to high school or going to college or working all the time, they're not going to support their kids or push them as much as someone who is used to it or has the money and time to do so. So that's one thing. Another thing is that obviously if you can make more opportunities for minority students for private schools and things like that, that will help also. But it's a big problem that can't be solved by one thing. It's just it's a series of things that need to be done that like we haven't done the best at in the last few years.
In conclusion, our research showed us that there are many other factors affecting the achievement gap that does not involve race, like the student's environment, the academic standards at the student's school, and the student's community resources. This is clearly shown in neighborhoods like Englewood, where they lack resources and where the academic standards are relatively low, which can affect the child's academic achievement. In other neighborhoods, like Lincoln Park, there are better resources and opportunities to become someone great and get a good job that people in Englewood can't get.